Hey, Lena here. Today I'm here to show you how to make the Turkish cast on, which is a great way to begin with when you're casting on for toe-up socks or top-down hats or anything where you want the beginning stitches to be connected. Let me show you how that's done. So to begin with, I will be using 2 double point needles. You could also use a circular needle if that's what you will continue working on with your projects. So as most projects, I'm going to begin here to put a slip knot like this onto my needle. So I'm going to hold my 2 double point needles in my left hand like this, take the slip knot and slide it onto the lower one of my 2 double point needles and then tighten up. Making sure to grab the working end of the yarn, I'm going to wrap this yarn around my 2 needle tips here. And the number of stitches in the pattern is going to be divided in half. So if the pattern tells you to cast on 32 stitches, for example, you're going to wrap the yarn 16 times around your needles. But for this sample here now, I'm going to start wrapping 10 times for a total of 20 stitches. So the way we wrap it is that we will go underneath the 2 needles and up and around and down again. So that was 1 wrap, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And remember, like I said, you'd wrap half the number of times that you need stitches to end up after you finish this first round. So once now we have wrapped all our wraps around, we're going to put the working yarn on top of your index finger. I'm pulling the lower needle out a tad, just like this, and I usually flex it over a little bit so it's out of the way for me. I'm going to knit into the stitches here on my top needle, and I'm going to knit them here into the front loop like we normally would knit stitches. So I go into the first one and wrap the working yarn around my needle and pull it through. Go into the next one and the next one. As you can see, we're knitting them off. And I'm going to knit here all the way across. It's a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. And as you can see, it's important to not wrap these stitches too tight around your double point needle, but you'll be able to knit into them when you work your way across. So there, I have knit all those 10 stitches I had on my first needle. And now to be able to knit across this one here on the lower edge, we're simply going to just rotate everything around like this, so these stitches now are on the top. And again, position everything as you would when you knit. And before we start knitting, you know we have this slip knot that we put at the top here from the beginning. That was just to hold things in place. So before we start knitting, I'm just going to slide it off the needle tip like that and pull it down. And then I'm just going to hold on to it a little bit here in the back as I get started. So now holding on to that one, positioning the working yarn around my index finger. I'm now, same thing here, now going into the front loop of each of these wraps and knit the stitches across. So this way we are going to knit on each side of the stitches we cast on so that they are connected at the top of your hat or at the tip of your toe or wherever you decide to use this cast on. And let's see if I get the last one there. And then push everything to the center here to keep things in place. So like you can see here now, we have worked one round. We started knitting across these ones and then continued knitting across these ones. So as you also can see for future reference, you know that the tail is in the end here between the stitches halfway around the round. So your round always starts over in the end where you don't have the tail. So now to continue, you again just rotate your work around and then push the stitches on the top to the tip of the needle and keep knitting, of course following your pattern for whatever texture or increases, etc. that's going on. So I'm just going to continue here now to the end to finish half of this round and just take another look. I'm there now at the end. And as you can see, we have this really smooth join here that's going to be up at the top so that you can avoid seaming or any other construction techniques that you would have to do if you did not use this cast on. So now I'll just continue and I'll keep working around and around.